Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, Inain Forensic Classroom. This is part 3 of our forensic foundational concepts. In one of my earlier videos, we discussed what a forensic science laboratory looks like from the inside. But today we are going one step deeper. Today, I'll walk you through how a forensic science lab works. From the moment a case enters to the lab to the moment a final report is sent to the court. So this process is fundamental because forensic science is not just about science, it's about a responsibility. A small mistake can affect an entire case, and that's why forensic labs follow a very strict workflow. So let's start with how evidence travels from the crime scene to the lab. So in India, when a crime is investigated, physical evidences is collected either by trained forensic professionals or by the police. So this evidence may include weapons, blood-stained clothes, fingerprints, drugs, documents, or digital devices. So once the investigation reaches a stage where scientific examination is required, the investigating officer decides to select evidences and send it to the forensic science laboratory. Now, before sending it, the evidence is properly packaged and sealed, usually at the crime scene or at the police station, in order to prevent damage or contamination. Now, along with the evidence, the investigating officer prepares an evidence submission form, which is also called as forwarding note. Now, this document contains essential case details and a description of the evidence being sent. The sealed evidence is then sent to the forensic laboratory, either in person through official police channels or via authorized transport. Now, this is the standard and accepted procedure for transferring evidence for forensic examinations in India. Now moving on to what the lab checks first. So once the evidence reaches the forensic science laboratory, it doesn't directly go to the scientist. So the first stop is the receiving station. So this stage is extremely important because the laboratory must verify that the evidence is legally and scientifically acceptable before any testing begins. Now, at the receiving station or at the receiving section, trained police personnel carefully inspect every package. They check several key details, like first they check the police station details. The lab verifies the name and address of the police station that sent the evidence. Then they check for investigating officer's details. His name, designation, and signature of the investigating officer must be present on the submission document. So this would establish the official responsibility. Now, third thing they check for is case identification. Now, each item must clearly mention the FIR number, case number, and date. This ensures the evidence is linked to the correct case. Fourth one is the description of evidence. So the lab checks whether the evidence is clearly described. So clear descriptions basically prevent confusion during analysis. Then they check for the packaging and seals. So the number of seals is checked. The lab confirms whether the seals are present, intact, and unbroken. Now, intact seals indicate that the evidence has not been tampered with after sealing. Then they check for the proper labeling. So each package should be labeled with police station name, investigating officer's name, date of collection, FIR, case number, brief description of contents. So all these details must match the information provided in the submission form. So the purpose of all these checks is very simple. The lab must be able to connect the physical evidence to the correct case without any doubt or confusion. So moving on to the case registration, which is basically the first official lab step. So once the evidence is accepted, the case is officially registered in the lab records. Now each case is assigned a unique laboratory case number. So this number follows the evidence throughout its journey inside the lab, from examination to reporting. Now, details like FIR number, the sections of law, police station name, types of evidence, and date of receipt, everything is recorded. This step is important because it marks the formal entry of the case into the forensic system and ensures the accountability from the very beginning. Then we move on to the safe storage until analysis. So, until examination begins, evidence is stored securely, usually in a designated evidence room or a storage facility. Now, each item remains sealed unless a scientist opens it for analysis, and even that opening is recorded. So, this controlled storage ensures that evidence remains in the same condition as when it was received. Now, in many cases, the evidence needs examination by more than one or more department. So, for example, a knife may first go to the biology section for blood detection, then go to the DNA section, and later to the physics section for tool mark analysis. Now, this movement between departments is also strictly documented. Each transfer records like who handed over the evidence, who received it, and when. Everything is recorded. Forensic laboratories basically do not rely on trust, they rely on records. Then we move on to the analysis and examination. Now comes the scientific core of the forensic works. So trained experts examine the evidence using validated methods like chemical test, microscopic examination, instrumental analysis, etc. So forensic scientists do not jump to conclusions. They follow standard procedures. They repeat tests when required, and they carefully document every observation, because in court they must explain not just the result but how they reached it. Now, after analysis, the scientist prepares a forensic report. So before it is issued, the report is usually reviewed by a senior or a peer expert. So this review checks the findings, reasonings, and conclusions. Now, only after this step is the report finalized and officially sent to the court or investigating agency. This process strengthens the reliability and credibility of the forensic reports. So, this is how a forensic laboratory actually works. Not like what we see in movies, but in a very structured, disciplined, and legally accountable way. Now, evidence doesn't magically become a report. It passes through careful checking and then registration, moving on to screening, then examination, and finally review. And all of this to ensure justice is served. Now, in our next video, we will discuss chain of custody in detail, what it means, how it is maintained, and why even small gaps can matter in a court. If you found this video helpful, do like, share, and subscribe to Inain's Forensic Classroom. See you in the next video. Bye.